1. The group displays excessively zealous and unquestioning commitment to its leader, and whether he's alive or dead, regards his belief system, ideology, and practices as the truth, capital T, the truth, as law. Okay, I have seen plenty of excessively zealous and definitely unquestioning commitment to certain ideologies, certain leaders, certain ideals. And it is perfectly acceptable, of course, to have strong values and to have a strong belief in your values. But unquestioning commitment, zealotry, these are not good words to be using when we're talking about how we think about things or whether we follow somebody. Gurus are not a good thing to have in your life, whether they're political, religious, or any other field of your life. Another characteristic from my destructive cult checklist from Janja Lalich and Michael Langione, they are the ones who actually put this together. Questioning, doubt, and dissent are discouraged or even punished. Now, of course, this in the social media world would be unfriending you, or worse, when we see on Twitter or we see on social media that there's trolling campaigns, there are campaigns carried out against people who speak of a differing opinion to somebody. There are organized activities to ruin those people's lives. We've seen this again on all ends of the spectrum, and it is ugly every time it happens. It's quite shocking, actually, how invasive some people feel they have the right to get when they feel that they're on a tear about taking somebody out because they don't agree with what he or she has to say or has done or thinks. These are not the earmarks of a civilized, rational society, and yet we see this. I mean, I don't think I don't think it's too much of a stretch. I'm sure if any of you have been paying any attention at all to any level of social media, you will see this, and of course, this also happens throughout the news media. The next characteristic, the group is elitist, claiming a special, exalted status for itself, its leaders, and members. And this goes hand in hand with the next one, which is the group has a polarized us versus them mentality, which may cause conflict with the wider society. Now, this gets interesting because you have, historically speaking, you have a number of marginalized groups and minority groups who have been persecuted merely because they existed. This is not acceptable behavior. You can point to any number of these groups. As some of these groups have gained equal footing or have gained rights and have gained recognition, which is a good thing, almost universally, this has been positive social change. Yet, this kind of us versus them thinking and the elitist thinking enters in when we get extreme on these groups. Again, left and right. And because I'll talk about the religious right and the evangelicals just as much as I'll talk about the more extreme forms of feminism or some of these other groups on the left. I mean, both ends of this are not, there's no innocence on this. We're talking about human beings. And the human beings act pretty crazy sometimes. And any group can get zealots. It can get a lunatic fringe developing. There are simply some people who are unstable in some ways, and they have they get part of some of these groups or some of these ideals that they glom onto, and then things get really oddly ugly very, very quickly. So we want to watch for that. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about here. I'm not talking about anybody who has an idea. I'm talking about extremism here. So finally, the last characteristic in terms of cult characteristics that I wanted to throw out there that I think that we're seeing more of in social media these days is the group teaches or implies that its supposedly exalted ends justify whatever means it deems necessary. This may result in members participating in behaviors or activities they would have considered reprehensible or unethical before joining the group. And I'll say group or cause or whatever. So I have been seeing recently amongst some of the left on social media literal calls for rioting, for violent civil protest, for overthrowing our government. And these are not satirical. These are not sarcastic. These are real. That's crazy. We are not in any kind of situation right now where that sort of thing is called for. It's just not. And what I'm seeing is that the people who are doing that have gotten themselves into such a hysterical mindset, a la these cult characteristics, that I don't blame them for that kind of behavior. I'm simply noting it and raising the alarm. This isn't about blame. This isn't about, oh my God, let's lock all these people up. This is about, could we please calm down? You know, when you, there's a saying on the left that I've heard more than once from journalists on MSNBC. I've heard Chris Hayes say this. I've heard Rachel Maddow laugh with him about this. I have seen this on social media, on my Facebook page. I have seen this in print media. And that is, the truth seems to have a left-leaning bias, which of course is a rather smug and extremely arrogant statement that the left has the truth on their side more often than the right. Well, they can pat themselves on the back about that, but what I have found is that the truth tends to have a calming effect. When you get the whole truth of a situation, when you get like the whole picture, it tends to chill me, at least, out. I will speak for myself here, and maybe some of you have experienced this and maybe not. But I'm going to say that if I am frantic about something, if I'm feeling hysterical about something, if I'm feeling upset or antagonistic, or I want to go shoot somebody, or I want to go hurt someone because of, some injustice that I feel is happening in the world. And of course, there are plenty of injustices that happen in the world. But when I get the whole picture of what's going on, when I take the time to look at not just some specific random, incident of violence or some incident of injustice, but if I step back and I look at the whole picture, and it takes time to do this, unfortunately, and we're not well served by the media because they don't give us the whole picture, at least cable news media specifically. They're so interested in sound bites and now updates and giving you, the latest information that has to have your attention right now, that they don't ever seem to step back and give you the full picture. And every time I've gotten the full picture of something, it tended to chill me out, because then I could understand what was actually happening, and I wasn't involved in the franticness of the moment and the emotional upheaval of the moment.